Welcome to Daybreak with Ted Tibbet and Michael Paul. If you have a comment, you can call us now at 261-0898 or pound 981 on any C Spire device. Our email is newsradiomornings@gmail.com.
Against the wind, we were running against the wind.
16 minutes after 7 o'clock Friday morning, heading into a three-day holiday. Memorial Weekend, 98.1, 92.7, Michael and Ted, and we're joined by a good friend, Chamberlan Carothers, and of course we talk to Chamberlan a lot of times about apartment rental and real estate investments in the greater Hattiesburg area with his job with SVN Realty. But Chamberlan, in addition to that, when Mayor Toby Barker started talking about reopening the city of Hattiesburg, he formed a commission of advisors and has some of the smartest people that I know in our community on this. And under the business section, he picked none other than Chamberlan Carothers. You knew studying hard in high school and college was going to pay off one day, didn't you?
Yeah, we'll go with that, Ted. We'll go with that.
You think that's the reason?
I think that you're spot on, and I think we can go on and frame that answer.
It wasn't you and little Ted Harden getting in mischief all the time, was it?
We were studying too much to have any time to get into trouble. You know,
right.
we walk a pretty tight line there.
Well, I know.
Okay, now let's not start
lying.
lying this morning.
But thank you.
Right, you don't want to start lightning this morning, right?
Thank you for what you're doing. Why don't you first update us on the apartment and the rental market and the investment market, and then we'll go into the city reopening.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to first say good morning, guys, and wishing you guys a happy Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, on the apartment side of Hattiesburg, we have been really pleased on multiple fronts. As of right now, the impact of this event has not impacted us adversely a great deal at this point. But the best thing I want to take away from the apartment market is when this thing started, there was a nervousness nationwide about people that could pay taking advantage of the situation. And you are seeing that at places in the country, but I'm so pleased to say that has not happened here in the Pine Belt. And I think it just goes to show from young to old, you know, we really are a cut above. And I'm really pleased with the way that people have lived up to their obligations, even during tough times. On the commercial real estate side, we are starting to see transactions happen, and we are starting to see movement. Obviously, a lot of small businesses are crippled by this event, and on a management and development side, we are working with our tenants to see them through this. But you are seeing people interested in opening up new businesses and new ideas, so that is encouraging. It feels like traction is getting back on track.
Well, I think that's certainly good news, and perhaps we are ahead of the game and don't even realize it yet.
You know, I think Mississippi has a lot of things going for them. And, you know, one, we're a community of small businesses, so that any impact is not too great. We haven't had a major manufacturer here in large numbers laying people off. And in addition to that, we have low population density. And markets like ours are forecast to be some of the quickest ones to rebound. Hopefully, if what we read can be believed, you know, hopefully our sun and humidity is about to cripple this thing pretty hard. But only time will tell. But I do think, Michael, overall, you're going to see Mississippi and Hattiesburg be above average in the pain that we have to endure, as well as our recovery time. So I am optimistic about that.
You know, Chamberlan, we have seen with this coronavirus now, the CDC has said, well, wait a minute, you know, it doesn't really transfer that well on surfaces. So a lot of the things that we're doing, like stopping buffets and doing, you know, because we're worried, right, about all the surfaces that people touch every day. Turns out that may not be the way that this thing really gets a hold of folks. It looks like it's human-to-human transmission is where it really happens.
You know, if that's what they're saying today, you know, I read that headline yesterday, and, you know, it's really frustrating. As a business, you know, these small businesses that are doing everything they can to meet compliance, and then only to have compliance change consistently. And to find out that things that they've been spending time, money on might not be needed or workable at all. And, you know, we talk about a vaccine, we talk about a lot of things. I really wish there was a panel out there testing these things like surface transmission, aerosol transmission to sun, and that we could have one trusted source to view because, information has been, in my opinion, the biggest issue during this pandemic. And who do you trust, Michael?
Well, it's true.
When people are constantly changing their minds, it's very difficult for people to buy in and believe you. So.
Well, yeah. And look, the thing is what we were supposed to do, the big concern when all this started 2 months ago was that we are going to have hospitals that are so full they won't be able to take care of patients. That did not happen. And that was the whole idea, to flatten the curve. Now that's been flattened, and we're still seeing residual effects of people making decisions to stop commerce, to stop things from happening, and you've got to be concerned about that.
We're very concerned. There's an old adage for that, and that's called moving the goalpost. And the goalposts continue to be moved. I am pleased that, on a state and local level, I know there's been some decisions on both that have been unpopular, but when you compare Mississippi and Hattiesburg to the rest of the country and some of, like you said, just draconian measures in some of the places in the country, it gives you a lot of pause, gives you a lot of concern on multiple facets. Because when people don't know what to believe, I think to me that's the scariest thing going forward, because trust is the first thing you have to have for investment and for a healthy economy.
No question about it. Well, give us an update on this council, commission, whatever it is that you're calling this group of businessmen, people in the community that know what's going on, that have their thumb on the commerce of our community here in Hattiesburg and Forest County. What is going on with that commission, council? What do you call it?
The mayor's calling it his reopening working group, and he selected 40 individuals, and they're in about 4 different categories. I'm in the business category. He has a health team. He has I don't know if he's calling it clergy or just community leaders, but it's a lot of pastors and things like that. So I'm really grateful to be involved with the business working group, and I will commend our mayor. When making the choices for people to pick, he didn't just pick all his friends. He really did pick some people that will challenge him, that have outside opinions, and for that reason, I think a lot of good input's going in. We're thrilled at this point not to have any additional restrictions on restaurants and retail, and to have those kind of things moving forward in line with state guidelines. But the mayor's listening to us, and he's got a lot of people giving him good input.
All right. Well,
where are we at today on this? Are you meeting regularly, and can we anticipate what the next step is in reopening? Yeah,
with the reopening, I think at this point, most of what you're viewing is really restricted from Jackson. And I may be misspoken a little bit on that, but as far as in my world, retail, restaurants, these kind of things, these restrictions that are here in Hattiesburg are being imposed by the governor. We have had a lot of misconceptions. Being on the council, when the mayor asked, you want to be there and try to, more than anything, I want to voice what my owners, what my clients are hearing. We meet weekly, but there has been some misconceptions that the business or this panel is shaping all the policies, and that's not. On the business side, we're talking about really things into the future, because regardless of what happens with coronavirus, the economic recovery is going to be a long haul. And so we can't just think about today. I think, though, a lot of the decisions about reopening or not reopening have really been arriving more from the mayor's medical council. That has not been posed as much to us on the business front. But anyone that has concerns, I know there's a lot of people concerned out there. Feel free, anyone you see on the mayor's working council, if you have a relationship with them, feel free to reach out to me as a sounding board. I will make sure that what you say is repeated and heard. And two, I'm looking for information. I love hearing stories about how people are getting through this, the struggles and the successes, because Michael, like you said, when you don't have a one-stop shop for information these days, you do have to pick it, and the best place we're finding to pick it is from the individual business owners.
Well, I think the biggest problem with this entire coronavirus, Wuhan Chinese coronavirus, is the fact of what you just said. People are getting information that's different on a weekly basis, sometimes a daily basis.
Yeah, I would say daily, honestly.
And so the CDC, turns out, can we really trust the CDC? I don't know, because it's frustrating to me, and you may hear some frustration in my voice, but I hear this stuff coming out of Washington, D.C., and then I see these governors across the country, especially in blue states, that are just using draconian measures. I mean, you got the story of the barber in Michigan. A Michigan judge ruled yesterday that the state, suspended his license in error. They wanted a cease and desist order, but he won. And so, we do have liberty in this country. And it goes back to the old thing, one of our founding fathers who said those who will give up essential liberty to purchase temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. That was Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers. And so that's where people are starting to turn now. They're starting to say, hey, we have the right to go out and work and make a living and do our job. And I don't think the government can stop us from doing that.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I do hear the passion, and I'm hearing it from a lot of people, Michael. But I do want to end on a high note here, is that as you see these stories that are happening in these blue states, more draconian measures, and I know there's been some unpopular decisions here. Having said that, I sit on many national councils, and when I talk to national peers about where we are as Mississippi, where we are in Hattiesburg about going out to restaurants, we're essentially reopened. I know there's a lot of restrictions on capacity, but comparing that to some of these blue states is we are light years ahead of them. And a lot of the problems they're having, we are not having. And I know that causes frustration. I know it causes fear in our people, and it should. But I'll leave you with this. It's also a bright spot, because as this thing becomes the new normal, people settle down, these things that are happening in these other states will not be forgotten by business. They will not be forgotten by their people. And I really feel like long term, the Gulf South, specifically Mississippi, is going to have a wonderful opportunity for growth after this. A lot of my peers who do very well for themselves, but live in major markets, Chicago, New York, LA, they are looking at my quality of life, and they are yearning for it. And some of these guys are as blue as they come, I will tell you, and they're like, wow, look at your backyard, look at all these things, look at your freedoms that you're having in Mississippi. So those things won't be forgotten, in addition to, if our president is lucky enough to get 4 more years here, I really feel like we're going to have more things brought back to our country from places like China and India. And if you're moving those kind of industries, the first thing you're going to do is look for the most applicable spot like that in the United States. And Mississippi's teed up great. I mean, we have great access to ports, great labor, very cheap land. We have a very pro-business governor. So all these things won't be forgotten. So when you look at other people's pains in Michigan and New Jersey and New York, pray for those people, but also understand that that's Mississippi growth that's going to happen in 2 to 3 years. So, I say, we do have some troubles, and I know there's some businesses that can't operate the way they want to still here in Mississippi. And I hope that changes. I know there's a lot of things that go into those decisions, but overall, we are so far ahead of the rest of this country, and I really look forward to that paying off in a few years, and I fully believe it will.
You're exactly right. Sorry to interrupt you. We're about out of time.
No.
But I think you're right. There has been a paradigm shift in how people view manufacturing that's going on in places like China. Who could give a damn about us? That's exactly what's happened.
Even on a micro level, Michael, I mean, my peers have been so impressed by our collections on the multifamily side. And again, that's nothing we're doing special. That is our community. So take pride in where you live, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.
Hey, Chamberlan Carothers, thank you.
Thank you very much, bud.
You guys be good.
Talk
Take care.
to you again. Chamberlan Carothers, SVN Realtors on the Mayor's Commission. Good morning. We're back with the weather and Heath in just a moment.